sent. Some of you may not have ever used it at all, and so you may not have the scripts and everything loaded for this yet. So I did want to let you know about that. There's 4 scripts that it takes to run the warranty system, and we can get those scripts to you. And those 4 scripts are called warranty types, warranty claims, warranty components, and warranty failure codes. Once you have the scripts saved, you can of course assign them to users like any other scripts. And 3 of those really are basically a control file. And that's the components, the failure codes, and the types. And those items are really only going to be used in your initial setup and then for things you may need to change later on. From there, you'll pretty much always be using the warranty claims script. Now, going forward, right now everybody is going to have this warranty claims script available to them, but in a newer release that we're going to be send out, we've added a warranty button, an icon up at the top called WTS, just so you'll have easier access to get in and out of that script. And again, that'll be available on later versions of the program. The other thing I want to talk about regarding the setup is that in the global environmental variables, or you could set it by user if you only have a couple of users using warranty, there's a variable called WARR. I'll scroll down and show it to you here. WARR open. And what that's for is we found that some people want to be able to display both open and closed work orders in the warranty claim log. Some users only want to view closed work orders in there. So that's up to you. If you want to show both open and closed, if you put a capital Y in there, then you'll see both. If you leave it blank or put a capital N, then all you'll see is closed work orders in the log. Okay, so back to the setup. When you go into the warranty types script, this is where you can add in your different types of warranties. And in this screen, it's very basic. You can add using the add option, and inquire, change, or delete modes are also in there as well. And this is where you'll set up all of the different types of warranties you have for each manufacturer that you submit warranty claims to. To set them up, you'll just use your manufacturer, which is an F6 field, and it does have to be a valid manufacturer that's set up in your manufacturer control file. And then you can set up the code, and you can set up the warranty description. To add, obviously, you'll use the add mode. If you just want to view it like I am, you'll use inquire, or you can use change or delete. So it's very basic. The next setup is to set up the warranty components, and this screen looks exactly the same, so it's very simple to use. Again, you have add, inquire, change, or delete. Of course, you have the F6 from the manufacturer field, and I'm going to go ahead and select one I have set up in there, and then you can use the code and fill in the code and the description as well. So these are just your component codes that you have from your manufacturers. And last but not least, on the control setup is your warranty failure code. Same thing, you have add, inquire, change, and delete. And this is where you'll set up your failure codes. Now, one thing to understand is that when you're within the warranty claims screen, the components, types, and codes are tied to the manufacturer. So in other words, if you're doing a warranty claim for, in this example, a Raymond unit, when you use those drop-down list box that are being populated by these control files, you would then only be able to see the components and the failure codes that go along with that manufacturer. And we'll look at that in a minute here when we're in the warranty claim. So adding the scripts to the users, setting that environmental variable the way that you want it, and using these 3 scripts are really your only setup to using the warranty claim. The next thing I wanted to point out quickly was what actually makes a work order show up in the warranty claims log. And to show you that, I'm going to go into Service and Work Order Close Reopen. In the header maintenance screen in the work order, the application type is what tells the system what should be pulled into the warranty log. So obviously warranty would need to be selected there, and that's what makes it pull over automatically. You will have the option, and I'm going to show this in the training, to add other work orders to the claim log that do not have a type of warranty if you should need to do that. But to get them to pull in automatically, this is the field that it's going to always look at. And then the other thing that's going to happen is once it's been set up as warranty and it's been pulled into the claim log, all of the detail that is currently on the work order at the time that it gets pulled into the detail in the warranty claim screen. So all of your parts, your labor, your miscellaneous, and even your work order notes. So I wanted to point that out. So again, for those of you who aren't on, a very, very late version, you'll go into your scripts and double-click on your warranty claims script, and that's what's going to open the claim log for you. And then going forward in the future, you'll be able to use this WTS icon, which is going to take you to the same place. One thing I also wanted to mention while I'm thinking about it, if you don't have it already, we do have some warranty documentation available. On our SQL update has already gone out, and our update for everybody else is also getting ready to go out. And the new PB does have warranty documentation in it, but we do have separate warranty documentation available outside of the PB if you need it, and that's we have an FTP site that you can get that from. So if you're interested in that, just shoot me an email, and I'll let you know where you can go grab it and what the user and password is for that. So that just has some basic information in it. I will warn you, we've added things here just in the last couple of weeks, so there's a few new things that you'll notice that aren't in that documentation yet, just quite yet. When you go into the warranty claim screen, again, what you're seeing here, with the exception of things I've added manually, is going to be work orders that had an application type of warranty. In this screen, it shows you really all of the warranty claim fields of information. You can see, of course, the work order number, when it was opened. You can tell whether it's been invoiced or not, which is telling you whether the work order is still open, because obviously if it hasn't been invoiced, the invoice is going to say 0. And you can sort by all of these columns as well. So I can see that these are all closed work orders. And then your dealer claim number has always been default in the system to the work order number and what number submission it is. And we'll talk about that here in a minute when we go into the detail. And then, of course, you have your vendor name that you're submitting the warranty to and number. If you have a vendor claim number, you'll be able to enter that. And I'll show you where all these fields are coming from. Vendor credit memo number, the make, model, and serial number of the unit. The description, I wanted to talk about that a little bit so you understand where it's coming from. The description on this screen does not come from the work order notes. This comes from the work order header description. So again, if I go back to, and I'll just go into header change here. On page 2 in the work description field, that's the description that you'll see on this front screen, whereas your detail will pull over your work order invoice notes. And then, of course, you have the customer name, the number of submission, the date it was added, if it was manually added to the log, and then whatever the work order close date is. This is letting you know the work order type, which is warranty, or if it's a non-warranty work order, it'll be blank. Up at the top of the options you have is to include closed claims. Now what this is for, this actually has nothing to do with whether a work order is closed or not. This is so that you can see work order claims that have been closed. So anything that has a status of final, and I'm going to show you where you mark that, once it's been finalized, then it's not going to show unless you click on include closed claims, and then it'll pull it into the screen. And if you unclick it again, you'll be back to just your open items. So again, you can sort by any of these fields. If you click on any of the records in the bottom, you can export those to Excel just like any other grid screen. So you can use that, for your own reporting purposes and sort it however you'd like to that way. The other option in here, and this is fairly new, if you can do a find, and this find will work on any field in this entire screen. So if I only wanted to, for example, look for, Komatsu claims, and I click find, when you click, and you can see it's highlighted in gray, when you click next, it'll go to the next one with just that in it, so on and so forth, just like any other find option. But this will also work on your description field. So if I was looking for just field campaigns or something like that, I could use that as well. And you can see it's jumped down to the first one that I have that has campaign in the description. I can hit next, it'll find the next one. So any field that you want to search for something on will work with this search option. So I'm going to stop right there just for a minute and see if anybody has any questions. That's a good stopping point. So if you will hit your raise hand button, and I'll unmute you. Paul Brown, you don't have an audio pin. I sent you an audio pin. If you'll enter that and press pound, then I'll be able to unmute you, and you'll be able to ask your question.
Got me now?
I can hear you now, Paul.
Okay. When does this stuff go to this screen? When we're open the work order, does it go here?
Sort of. It's the details all where it needs to be so that when you open the warranty claims script, it all gets pulled in.
Okay, so it'll still be in dispatch, though, until it's actually closed?
Absolutely. It's not really connected to dispatch and whether the call is completed or anything like that or not. It's going to be in this screen until you go into this screen, and when I get to that to the detail, I'll show you where you change it to final.
All right. Thank you.
But again, you can still get back to it by using the include closed claims option.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Any other questions? Hey, Becky, did you have a question?
Yeah, okay. Whenever you have I just tried to move your thing back. Over there where it's already invoiced, that means we invoiced it out, but we might not have collected we might not have got the claim done. But we just
That's right.
Invoiced it. It goes out of dispatch, correct? And then it'll stay here until you do the finalization?
Again, this is not tied to dispatch. So in dispatch, you complete a call in the dispatch log, and that puts it to $. You go into $, you invoice it from there, and then it's out of dispatch. It would still be sitting here because they're not really tied.
Okay.
Here, there's a separate place that you mark it final, and I'm gonna go through that.
Okay, but as soon as when you go through the header and you have that marked as warranty. And then once you open up your warranty script, it automatically pulls it from even though it doesn't have anything to do with dispatch as well, but as long as you put warranty, it'll automatically pull?
That's right. There's no tie between this and the dispatch log at all.
Okay.
Not tied. And if you use the warranty work order open environmental variable, then it'll be here automatically, even though it's still opened. If you decide that you only want closed claims to show up, then obviously the open ones won't show, only the invoiced ones will.
Oh, okay. I got you. Thank you.
You're welcome. Carolyn, did you have a question?
No, I don't have a question.
Okay, thank you. Patty, did you have a question?
No.
Okay, thank you. For some reason, a couple of people have a little question mark in their setting as though they have a question, but it's not. But I don't see one entered. So, okay. Any other questions before I go on? Okay, so I'm going to go on to the next thing, which is to talk about the detail. When you're in the log screen, you can either click on a record and go to the header and the detail tab, or you can double-click on the record and it'll take you to the same place. When you go into the record, and I picked this one first just to show the difference in how the system behaves. If the work order is open, it's going to tell you that it's open. And this is going to be a little bit different than if it's closed. For one, what we try to do is set this up where you can go ahead while the work order is still open and begin getting this information ready with the things that you really can and should be able to change now. However, we don't let you edit the detail or the notes on an open work order, because if the work order is still open, obviously that information could still change, and you would want to make sure that you had all of the information from the closed work order before you began to change details simply for the submission. So when the work order is still open, you can see that it pulls over into the dealer data, of course, all of the branch work order information, invoice number, and we'll talk about submission here in a minute. And then your equipment data is there as well, hour meter. Any of the fields that are open mean that you can change them, just like the rest of the system, and anything that's grayed out means that you cannot change them. So, for example, one of the things here that will be blank on an open work order until you change it is the vendor. So the vendor won't actually be assigned to that claim until you manually enter it. And that's one of the things you can do while it's still open. Down in the bottom in the dates, the open date, obviously that's a system-generated date for when the work order was open, and it's going to pull automatically. The invoice date will pull automatically, as well as the invoice number for a closed work order. But you can go ahead and enter what was the actual date of the failure, when you made the repair, when you submitted the claim, and if you're resubmitting the claim, you can enter that date also. Now the restart date, through a little research I found based on the specs for when we were writing the warranty system, we do have a particular customer that will use that for the restart of an engine date. I have yet to find many other people that would use it for that purpose. So what I would do probably with that date for anybody else is use it for something that means something to you, because we have reports that you can run out of the system, you know, in an Excel spreadsheet where you can, you know, retitle the name of the column and things like that. So that it's never going to hurt to use that date. It's just something you may not necessarily need because, like I said, I know we wrote it specific to a customer. You may not necessarily want to use it, but you can use it for your own purposes, something that means something to you. And then you can enter who the claim was submitted by. And down in the warranty claim information, the dealer claim number is going to come in automatically from the work order number and what number submission this is. So that'll happen automatically. The vendor claim number you can enter manually here. Once you get a vendor credit memo, when you get paid for your submission, you can enter that here as well. And the status is the one that I was talking about earlier that drives a few things. So, for example, obviously anything that's open, submitted, rejected, resubmitted, all of those things are going to show in the log on the front screen until you mark this final. And when you mark it final, that's what takes it off of the log, and choosing the include closed claims option is the one that will pull those in so you can still view them. Because you would still be able to change that if you needed to after the fact. So if you just did it by mistake, there's no concern that you couldn't get back to the claim if you needed to. When you go to the warranty type, again, the types, the component codes, and the failure codes are tied to the manufacturer. So you'll only see those for the manufacturer that's selected in the equipment data. Same thing with the component codes and the failure codes. If you have a technical bulletin reference number, you can enter that here also. And then at the bottom, and then there's also a field campaign number that you can enter. And then at the bottom, you have the choice of marking if the vendor has requested parts back. You can say yes or no on that. Whether you have returned the parts or not, yes or no. And if you have a vendor RGA number for the parts, you can enter that here as well. So all of those fields that you've seen me click on are ones that you can change and edit even though the work order is still open. A couple of things up at the top here. I wanted to talk a little bit about the submissions. The system automatically defaults to the next number in order, so your first submission will be 1. If you're going to make a new submission, you can see here in the sub box that it's telling you what number your next submission is going to be. And when you have multiple submissions, you'll see them listed here, and you can switch back and forth between the submissions. When you go into summary, that's going to show you a summary of all of the data, basically what is making up your totals here, which we're going to talk about on the front screen as well. So you can see your all of your details, so your type 2s for your labor, type 3 for parts, type 5 for miscellaneous, and then your notes at the bottom. And again, this detail is what makes up your numbers. This screen and the amounts is the same as the front screen. And this, of course, is showing you your cost for each of those, the invoiced amount, and the claimed amount. And over on the right, you can see that my unrecovered is the same as my claimed amount. Now, if I have the work order open, but I've already been doing a submission for this, you can at this point say I've received, a certain dollar amount for each one of those types, and it's going to then calculate the difference between your claimed and your received as your unrecovered. And you can also put a core credit in here. Now, one thing in this screen, anytime you make any changes to this screen, the save button is what will actually save that. If you make changes and you hit cancel, that's not going to save those changes that you made. It'll just take you back out to the front screen where the log is. If you need to make a new submission, when you click on new submission, again, it's going to assign the number that it had in the submission box. Now I can see this is my submission number 3. And again, you have all of your fields of information that you can enter based on, again, the fact that this is an open work order. So I'm going to go back to my first one here. One thing that will happen when you switch between submissions, it's going to ask you if you want to save your work in the current submission number that you're on before you exit. If you say yes, obviously it'll save, and if you say no, it won't. So all of that screen is something that you can actually do something with the work order open. When you go to the details screen, if the work order is open, this will let you view everything, but it won't let you change the information at this point. So you can see that it has, again, all of our detail listed, shows what the cost, sell, and claimed amounts are, and the date. and that we're saying, yes, we're going to claim this at this point because we haven't closed the work order yet, what submission number that details on, and what segment of the work order. If you click open the type box, you can switch over to notes, and then I'll show you your notes as well. So that's what it'll look like, again, if the work order is open. I'm going to go ahead and cancel back out, and before I close that work order and show you what it looks like with it closed, I'm going to go ahead and stop a minute here and take any questions. So if you have any questions, please raise your hand. If you still have your hand raised from before, you may want to unraise it. Becky, did you have a question?
Yeah, is my hand raised or not raised?
It is right now. It's raised.
Okay, I'm going to lower it, but yes, I have a question.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Whenever you go into the vendor claim credit memo and you can put the, like when you get your credit back, and you put it in there, does it link through AP or no? You still have to link it?
It does not link through AP, not at this time.
Okay, that was my question.
Okay, thank you. That was a good question. Patty Wilson, I believe your hand was raised, but I don't see that you're using audio. If you'll enter your audio pin, I'll be able to unmute you and so that you can ask your question. Okay, Patty, I don't see your audio. Patty Wilton, I don't see your audio. So if you do have a question, if you want to email it to me, I can email back to you later, get you an answer, unless you're able to get your audio pin entered. Paul Brown, did you have a question?
No, I did not.
Okay, thank you.
Do you have to manually? You there?
Yeah, you have to lower your hand or it shows it. That's okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Sorry.
Okay, I don't see any other hand raises or questions at this point, with the exception, again, Patty Wilton, if you want to email me, I'll get an answer to you here after the webinar is done. Okay, so what I wanted to do next was, again, use the same claim and show you the difference between if the work order is closed or opened. So I'm going to go ahead and close my work order. So now when I go back into the warranty tracking system, you can see that that work order I've been using now has an invoice number to it. So the difference is when I double-click this or go into the header and detail information, at this point, nothing changes as far as this front screen, with the exception that the system automatically entered the invoice number and it automatically updated the invoice date. And now when I go to my detail, I can actually make some changes here. So in the detail screen, if I need to change my claimed dollar amount for each detail line, I can do that at this point because the work order is closed. You can also say choose things that you're not going to claim by entering a yes or a no there. So for example, I'm going to change the amount on some of my labor, and maybe I know I can't claim all of these freights. So when I get down to this freight section, I can change those to no, I'm not going to claim some of this. So again, the detail just pulls over automatically with that current submission that you're on and the work order segment. Okay, after you make changes to this screen, if you go back to header and click save, that updates your information. And the other thing that you can do in that detail is change your type to notes, and you can edit your notes here. So when your invoice notes that pull over from the work order may not necessarily be the way you want to enter your notes for your submission. And so in this screen, there's a couple of things you can do. You can edit the lines that are there, or you can add new lines. And in here, you have different types. You have internal notes, work order notes, or you can break it out into the customer complaint, the cause of failure, and the corrective action. And just to show you, if I want to add more lines here, and this works just like our standard grid in any of the rest of the screens. As far as you have your plus sign to add and your minus to delete lines. And you want to enter all the way through the lines, of course. Now you'll notice on the right-hand side that it's not showing any segment, and that's because you're doing something here that is making a change within the warranty system, but it's not going to go back and change anything about your closed work order. So again, after you make a change, you'll go back to header and click save. So now, if I go back into that and go to summary, I just wanted you to see that as you make these changes, your summary reflects that as well. So you'll see that you mark some things as you're not going to claim them, changed the claim dollar amount, added notes. So when you go to make a new submission, of course, you can choose new submission, and of course, you may be updating some dates down here and saying, I'm resubmitting this today, and changing the status to resubmitted. You may need to change, warranty types, component codes, or failure code, anything that you need to change in here. And again, because we're not at this point selecting final, all of those are still going to show up on our front screen. Once we select final, again, that's what takes it off of the screen, and include closed claims is the way that you get back to that. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about is the direction we want to go with this is this. That right now we know that you're if you're using the warranty tracking system, you're keeping track of all of your warranty information, but we also know that from there you are submitting your warranties, hopefully online. I don't know if there's any out that are still all on paper. But what we want to do is set up the system where you can submit the claims directly from here. And this is some of the things that we have to get from the manufacturers, is their interface files. I know we're working on one currently, and I'm hoping going forward we'll get more of those. And the idea is so that you can get away from tracking all the information in Next for Windows and then re-entering it again to do your warranty submission. And that's where we're going with this. And that's something, again, and I think even customers can help us, as a go-between between the manufacturers and getting them to the point where they'll give us this information, we can set that up. Like I said, we're working on one right now, and we're hoping going forward we can get more and more of these, because it'll make everyone, all of your jobs a lot easier, a lot less data entry. I just have a couple more small things to talk about, so I'm going to stop again for a minute and see if anybody has any questions. Paul, did you have a question?
Well, somewhere in this, something started running. We never saw a lot of it, and I got a sign up here that says the organizer experiencing technical difficulties. If they do not return, webinar will end in 5 minutes.
Let me unmute a couple of other people and see if they can see my screen, because I'm not having my internet's up and everything. Everything looks normal on my end, so let me unmute a couple of other people and see if they're having trouble, okay?
Yeah, it was running some kind of report or something, it looked like, and then it come on, you were talking and we weren't the same screen.
Really? Yeah, I don't have anything running. Let me check with other people. Hang on 1 second. Hey, Sharon, are you seeing everything okay?
Yeah, we are now, but the screen looked like it was freezing up when you were trying to show us about a closed work order.
Really?
Yeah.
Funny, because it looks normal on our end. Becky, did you have a question?
No, we're experiencing the same thing they're talking about.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and go through the whole that whole section again, because honestly on our end it completely looked normal. We didn't even see like a delay or anything. So
You know what happened whenever you went to close that work order? And you know how at the bottom it'll go across, and that's how it's processing?
Yeah.
It got stuck there. And as you kept talking and moving to the next thing, that's all we saw.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then all of a sudden it popped up to this other screen, but you were already way past.
All right, well, I'm going to back up and do it all again. Thank
Sorry.
you. No, that's not your fault. We don't even see anything any different on our end. Thank you. Okay, so let me back up again here. After you've closed a work order, and if any of you notice right away that you're having a delay or not seeing this, maybe just raise your hand and I'll keep an eye on the panel and you can let me know. After the work order's closed, one of the first differences you'll see is I can see now the work order that I had closed, which is the one I've been using, now has an invoice number. And when you double click on that, one of the things you'll see again is it does not any longer say work order is open on the right-hand side here. And none of the rest of this on the header screen really changes, with the exception that you may be, changing some statuses and adding, amounts received and things like that to this screen. So that all is really the same. The major basic difference is that if a work order is closed, when you go to detail, again, you can see all of the detail that was pulled in from the work order, and at this point you can also make changes to it, whereas you could not when the work order was still open. So if I want to change a claimed amount, I can do that. Or if I determine that I don't want to claim any of this, you can change your yes, no on the claim column to no and say I'm not going to claim this. You can also add items at this point or delete items, just like any of the other grid screens. And any changes that you make to this screen, you do have to go back to header and click Save for it to save those changes. I'm going to go back in, and then same thing with the notes. When you go to detail and you change to notes, again, the work order notes are pulled in. Those will have a type code of 1WO for work order. You can also add internal notes here, which are just for you, or you can add separated notes, separate for customer complaint, cause of failure, and corrective action if that's what you need to do for your warranty claim. Now, anything that you add extra in this screen, because you're adding it after the work order is closed, you'll notice the submission number, but you won't notice the segment. And that's because, again, when you're making changes within the warranty system, it's not going back and making a change to a closed work order. It's just within your warranty system. And then again, just to reiterate, you'll go back to header and click Save to save that information. And I wanted to point out again the summary button. So now any changes that you've made, you can see that I added internal notes, so I can see those up here. And anything that you made a change to, like I said, no, I don't want to claim this, or I made a change to my claimed amount, or added or deleted anything from my notes, you can see that on your summary screen now. And then just to talk a little bit again about the submission, our hope again is to go straight from this screen to submit claim once we get those interfaces from the manufacturers where we can submit directly so that you're not having to double enter anything. And I think, or I hope, that covers all of the screen stuff that you guys missed. I'm going to go ahead and open it for questions here again to see if anybody has any questions. Becky, do you have a question?
Yeah, whenever you go in there and on your column on the claim where you decided that you don't want to change, you want to claim this certain amount and you change it to no, does it change that total, your total amount claimed in your header screen? Like
yes, in the totals here.
Uh-huh. Yeah, it does change it.
Well, I changed that one to no, but if, typically, I guess it could be different depending on the manufacturer, but if you were changing the claimed amount, probably this claimed would be a yes, I would assume. You know what I mean? I'm not sure, and maybe you can tell me. I'm not sure what the purpose would be to change the claimed amount if it was for something you were
So if you decided, you closed the invoice and then you decided, like down here, you changed that one where you didn't want to claim the freight.
Right.
Change over here in your header column.
Yes,
like
it
you
does.
have a total claim amount.
Yes.
Claimed.
Yes.
Does it change that amount there? Yes.
Yes, it changes the dollar amount here.
Okay. Yeah. See right there. Okay.
I mean, both things change it. If you say no, it reduces your claimed amount for that item. And if you change the dollar amount, it reduces or increases the amount in the claimed column.
Oh, okay, great.
And then, of course, your received is what you really received, and your unrecovered would show you the difference then.
Okay. All right, that's what shows your loss.
Okay. Yeah. Do you have any other questions?
No, great. Thank you, Kathy.
Thanks, Becky. Any other questions? Hi, Erin. Did you have a question?
Now that that work order is closed and you've got the status below, you got to go back and change that status again?
They're not tied. This status here is based on what you're doing in submitting the warranty. It's not tied to whether the work order is completed or closed or anything like that. So yes, okay. Once this was completely done and you've recovered everything you're going to recover, if you mark this final, that's what's going to take it out of the include close or the log list unless you click include close claims.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I don't see any other hands raised at this point, so I'm going to go ahead and go on. I just have a couple small things. The next thing I wanted to talk about is adding a work order that is not a warranty type, because obviously you're not going to see them in this list at all if the application didn't say that it was warranty. So to do that, when you click on Add, it's going to let you enter a branch and work order number. And it's going to tell you when you enter the number that the work order number exists. In other words, it exists in the database, but it's not in the current warranty claim list. And do you want to add it? Then you can say yes to add it. If it will only let you add a non-warranty work order to the list if the work order is already closed. If it's still open, it's going to tell you it's still open, and it will now allow you to add it. So if you say yes, I want to add it, then it's going to pull in all of this data. It looks no different than a warranty work order, and you can do whatever you need to do that way here. So I'm assuming people may be using this for something like your internal used warranties and things like that. It was one of the things that they requested in our specs, and that's my best guess as to what they want to keep track of in here is like I said, your internal used warranties. None of the rest of this changes, but obviously you can enter all of the when the failure happened, repair, and all of that. There's no difference between this and a warranty work order once you add it to the log. So once you get it added and you click Save, then of course it'll show up in your log down here. And I can see again that this is a non-warranty work order because over in my work order type column, it is blank. It does not say warranty. And last but not least, the last thing I wanted to talk about were the reports that you could run. I wanted to point out again that you can click on a record here and export this to Excel. But we also have an option when you go a couple of different things you can do in here. You can a report, which is a generic report that I'm going to show you, or you can create a list, which is going to be a grid that you'll be able to export to Excel. So up here at the top, you have the choice of looking at only opened, or submitted, or final, or rejected. If you hit the select all, it'll mark all of them. If you hit select none, it will unmark all of them. I'm going to say I want to look at all of my open claims. And you can put a from and a through date if you would like to. If you do have to have a through date, so you can leave the from date blank if you wanted to see everything. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And then you can break your report down just for specific branches or customers or make, model, or serial numbers. And then also down here in the report qualifiers, you can pick just a type. So if you just wanted to look at one certain kind of warranty on the report, you could do that. And you can also say, I only want to see items that have been open longer than 90 days or 180 days or whatever you want to run the report for. And I'm going to go ahead and leave this on report for right now. Now the print credit note, it's there because it was something that was asked for, but it is not completed yet. I guess they don't have the full spec on what we want to do with that yet. So at this point, that field's not going to do anything to your report at this time. After you make your selections and you click OK, that's going to build your report and ask you if you want to view it. And, up at the top, of course, it's telling you it's a warranty claims report and what from and through dates you selected. And then it's going to show your branch, work order number, the dealer claim number. I chose to see open statuses. Apparently, I've got one in there that has no status at all. And your vendor and manufacturer information and all of your dates, and then your invoice amount, your claimed amount, and the difference. If you have failure codes entered, you'll see those as well. So that just runs that report for you. So again, if you wanted to see all of your warranty for a specific customer, for example, then you could do that. And the one that I think I see people probably using the most is the list view, and I'm going to pull that up for you here. The thing that's nice about the list view is it pretty much includes every field. It's showing you whether it was a manual claim or not, what branch, work order number. But going across here, you can see that every field, every date, really everything. Like, for example, the restart date I talked about that you may not use as that, but you may want to use it for something else that, that's something you may populate. But all of the information that you get out of the claim system, warranty claim system, is in this screen. So when you click on it, click on a record and export it to Excel. Which seems to be taking a minute, so hopefully you guys are seeing this. And then it's going to ask if you want to view it, and I'll say yes. So you can see again that this just pulls up everything from the grid view, and every field that you could need is there. And this is what I see people using a lot, so that they can just add to, take away, change column names, or anything like that to make the report really what they want, so you can customize it for yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of there, and I really think that's about it. I'm going to open it up for questions here again. See if we have any more questions before we close out. Don't see any hands raised. Check and make sure there's no questions. Okay, it looks as though we don't have any more questions at this time. I appreciate you all attending today. Apologize for what the little technical difficulties we had that I can't explain. But at any rate, if you need anything, just let us know. Like I said, we have the warranty documentation available. If you don't already have it on your PEB and you'd like to get that, let me know. And anything we can help you with, we'll be happy to help you get it set up. Again, my email address is callen@ebs-next.com. So if you have any questions about the webinar, just let me know. And don't forget, we are having a Customer Central webinar this Thursday and next Thursday, where we'll go over all of the items in Customer Central. So if you have anybody available for that, that'd be a good one for everyone to see. It's a SQL. It's for SQL customers, so that's a real good thing. If you're not using it already, I'd recommend that you attend that. So, well, thank you all for coming, and I hope you all have a nice day. And I'll go ahead and end the meeting. Thank you.